Hello, I come to you today to share with you some thoughts about the universal call to holiness. This term, the universal call to holiness, is an expression which is well known in the Catholic Church today because it is a major theme of the Second Vatican Council of the Church. In Chapter 5 of this document, Lumen Gentium, we read the following: Therefore in the Church, everyone, whether belonging to the hierarchy or being cared for by it, is called to holiness. In a few moments, we will see that this is a mere recent expression of the thought of St. Francis de Sales from over 400 years ago. This call to holiness is not something new in salvation history or the life of the Church. It is in fact very ancient, for in the Old Testament or the Hebrew Scriptures, we find in the book of Leviticus, chapter 20, verse 26, we find the following: You shall be holy to me, for I, the Lord, am holy, and I have separated you from other peoples to be mine. We might ask ourselves, what exactly is holiness, and why are we being called to it, and why is it referred to as universal, this call? First, holiness is the state of being holy, obviously. This English word holy and the French word sanctité, used by Francis de Sales, mean to be set apart, to be consecrated, to be dedicated to God, or to be with God. Yet we do not find ourselves in this state of holiness naturally. Due to original sin, each one of us have inherited from our first parents. We find ourselves in a world that, while fundamentally good because it was created by God, is damaged. We see in ourselves our own sins and imperfections. We see imperfect relationships with God and others, for God loves His creatures and cannot leave us in this condition. So He calls each of us out of this situation and calls us back into relationship with Him. In various periods of history, some in the Church have thought that holiness was a calling for only a professional class of Christians. Perhaps the clergy and the religious only need holiness, while the laity can go about their daily lives, merely supporting financially and with an occasional attendance at Sunday Mass, the Church and her needs. Francis de Sales is having none of this view. He teaches us that each person, no matter his or her state in life, can attain to holiness through the discipline of prayer, frequenting the sacraments, and the practice of the virtues. For example, in his great work, The Introduction to the Devout Life, Part 1, Chapter 3, St. Francis states the following: When He created things, God commanded plants to bring forth their fruits, each one according to its kind, and in like manner He commands Christians, the living plants of the Church, to bring forth the fruits of devotion, each according to his position and vocation. Devotion must be exercised in different ways by the gentleman, the worker, the servant, the prince, the widow, the young girl, and the married woman. Not only is this true, but the practice of devotion must also be adapted to the strength, activities, and duties of each particular person. For us laymen and laywomen in the Society of St. Francis de Sales, we learn that we can offer to God the work we do to fulfill these duties and make of them a prayer. It is not only in liturgy or private meditation that we can love God, but also in studying, in developing our natural talents, doing our job well in our place of employment, caring for a young child, loving our spouses, and even, yes, in our leisure activities. Each of these can be a prayer offered to God, and we should not escape from them into meditation and prayer. Rather, meditation and prayer should be adapted to and integrated with our duties of state. As Francis de Sales says again in the same chapter 3 of the Introduction to the Devout Life, true devotion does us no harm whatsoever, but instead perfects all things. May God be praised in our response to his universal call to holiness.